welcome to another fascinating, extremely exciting episode of the Triple Clowns with Degen Nation. That's us. It's me, the OG Randall Johnson, with alongside the beautiful Sarah Marie. This is big news. Also, Tom and Tom joining us today from Tom and Tom Racing. He's the guy that does, off the rails. And as you can see, the one and only Craig Milkowski, TimeformUS, the man, the numbers guy, what I call him. Let's get into it. We're going to talk recap of the Breeders' Cup. Let's go, Sarah.
All right. We had obviously a lot of races and there's a lot to talk about. And for those that aren't following Craig real quick on Twitter, go and follow him. He gave a lot of great breakdown of not only pace of the race, speed figures of the race. So definitely check him out. But we'll start with Friday's card. Race 6 was the Juvenile Turf Sprint, where Twilight Gleaming came in, followed by Go Bears Go and Coffee Maker.
One timer on the outside of Twilight Gleaming. These two with Twilight Gleaming in front. One timer on the outside. Trying to come up the fence is Hierarchy with a late bid. In the center, Coffee Maker is coming too. Dairy Name from the back of the pack is flying. Here's the wire. It's Twilight Gleaming. Twilight Gleaming has done it.
I played the wrong Twilight horse in that race.
Yeah, we had a lot of those same ones. Craig, did you think about anything about that race, or was it just...
Yeah, this was, I kind of had a weekend where I either just totally swung and missed by like 3 feet or I hit. And this was one where I hit. These was with that was actually my second and third picks on the DRF preview, and they happened to come in here. So I did pretty well on this hitting the exact. I didn't really trust Avery Jean, and I thought the Euro form might have dirtied up the winner a little bit, maybe made him look a little bit worse than he really is. I was impressed with his stateside start, so he was tough, looked good. And I guess you just got to put Wesley Wards on top in this race and move on.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Anything from that, Tom, or are you good?
I came up similar to Craig. I either came up on top or I came up second tit in this race. Unfortunately, I went heavy with Bears, but that's why we had a hell of a long weekend, so we could make up for it.
Absolutely. All right,
Let's go to race 7, which was the Juvenile Phillies, which no surprise to anybody, Echo Zulu won, followed by Juju's Map and Tarabi.
Stretch, and it's Echo Zulu sent down for the final furlong, opening up by 4. Tarabi and Juju's Map battling for second behind a no-doubt champion. Echo Zulu wins the NetJets Breeders' Cup Juvenile Phillies by 5.5 lengths.
Now, there was someone else that posted on social media, not just Shoe, but there's someone else saying Echo Zulu, Kentucky Derby 2022.
I was going to ask Craig that question right now. Do you think that's the realistic?
Could be in the picture.
It doesn't sound like it. I heard some interviews with the connection. Sounds like they're pointing Oaks. And personally, I think that's probably the right move. She doesn't, to me, have that real pedigree. I mean, she's going up against it enough, having to face males in a big field. I'm sure there'd be other speed in there. So I think it's probably the right move in her case. But take nothing away from what she did on Friday. I mean, that was an impressive performance. I kind of was really heavy on Juju's Map. I made a win bet on her, and she was just never in contention. I mean, she ran second or third all the way around, finished second, but at no point did I ever think she was going to win. I mean, Echo Zulu was much the best.
Yeah, curious to see what happens with Echo Zulu. What kind of horse it turns into.
I was having a conversation with somebody after this race. I think this is the type of horse that we will see in the Oaks. Might be one of those Oaks Preakness horses. If she finishes in on top or at second, you might see her kind of like skip the Derby, go to the Preakness, see what happens, and go from there.
Yeah, Rachel Alexander.
Type. Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Swiss, I think.
Or Swiss too.
Yeah, Swiss did that. Yep. Race 8, we had the Juvenile Phillies Turf, where Pizza Bianca, followed by Malabath and Hottie.
Consumer spending is at an inside trim. Helen's Well. Koala Princess is getting going on the far outside. Cachet to catch. A furlong to do it. Koala Princess closing on the outside. Pizza Bianca's coming on through too. It's a wild finish here. Also coming is Hottie. Who's it going to be? Pizza Bianca gives Christophe Clement his first Breeders' Cup.
Good win for Bobby Flay.
Anybody didn't see that GoPro ride It's fantastic. If you guys watch that, that's
It's insane.
That's what I was going to say about this race. It wasn't much at all from a speed figure perspective, but the ride that Jose Ortiz gave was certainly worth the price of admission. As you said, he was wearing the GoPro there, so you got to see it close up. And just to me, these guys are crazy, man. I don't know how they do it to go that fast. And he never panicked and never even once did the horse have to break stride, which in that kind of traffic, it would scare the hell out of me. So I don't know how they do it, and hats off to Jose Ortiz.
absolutely.
I don't. I have a couple horses, and when he breaks into a trot, I hold on for dear life. I saw that video. Like, where the hell's the seatbelt? That is that is scary.
I like how they're bringing in GoPro footage. I like that TVG's doing that.
Well, I think
Cool.
next we need a VR game where we're all jockeys because we never will be.
Yeah.
How great would that be, guys?
One of
We
the
could
guys
ride I'd
Yeah.
probably get
you
sick.
just sweat. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that on Gallop Racer and whatever the one that came after that. I'm old school, so that's about as deep as my video game playing can come. And I don't get scared on that one because I'm smart enough to know it's not real. But if
Yes.
that were real
Yeah.
life, I mean, still just absolutely blows me away what those guys are able to do.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Exactly.
Like even just sitting in the gate with the giant animal and it breaks and there's all,
It's insane.
they're amazing.
Best athletes.
They are.
Only sport where an ambulance follows them around. I say that all the time. I talk to the
Yeah.
jockeys at Delaware all the time. I'm like, you guys forget football players, forget basketball players. There's an ambulance that follows you around at your job eight times a day. It's
Exactly.
That would just make me nervous right there with an ambulance following me all the time. I mean,
That would, but let's move on to race 9 where we had the Juvenile where Corniche took the win, followed by Peppa Cap and Giant Game.
With the lead in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and Giant Game is closing on the outside. Now moving up right alongside of Corniche as they come to the final furlong. Corniche with something left. Giant Game off the rail. Papa Cap trying to split those two, but it's Corniche. He's just too good. Corniche wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Corniche taking the win, not getting any Derby points.
No, for me, I mean, I don't care about that. If he's good enough, they'll change barns, and he's not going to not get in because of these points. This race lost luster for me when Jack Christopher scratched. I think it was almost a pretty much foregone conclusion what was going to happen. The other speeds in the race were all trained by Bob Baffert, so we knew it was going to be a pretty much easy path to get to the rail. He was able to do it. Take nothing away from him. He ran okay, but I do think it's noteworthy. He ran slower than what the Philly did. Slightly different pace scenario. He did go a little bit quicker, but I'm not overwhelmed by Corniche. I wouldn't be rushing to the Vegas windows to bet him in the future books.
all right. That's awesome. All right.
All right, and the final and most controversial race of the whole Breeders' Cup event, race 10, the Juvenile Turf, where the scratched and not scratched horse Modern Games took the win there, followed by Tiz the Bomb and McKinnon.
He's kicked it in and he's closing down the center of the course with 1 furlong to run. Grafton Street to catch. Modern Games on the outside, closing that gap. Dakota Gold and Slipstreamer next, but it's Modern Games. Modern Games will win the Juvenile Turf under the wire clear. Tis the Bomb.
I guess where to start with this race?
Well, I was watching Marx Brothers Day at the Races. I thought they covered this very well. But no, it is one of those ones that we're going to be scratching our heads about for years and years to come. It's been 4 days and people are still processing it. Like, what the hell happened and how could it have happened? What did they say today? Something about the daylight or something. The latest thing that came out that the sunlight got in their eyes. I mean, it is one excuse after another. Yeah, it really is, and I'm glad I actually put my bet too late in for that race, so I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't have anything on that one.
Yeah, this was a race that it's just an embarrassment for our sport, to be honest. You guys are the Triple Clowns, but you had competition in the stewards booth, I think, on Friday, because I don't know what was going on with those guys. Imagine, it taking new person to the track and you go in a pick 5 and you're reading the will pays. And I forget what it was, $1,200 or something like that for the one horse. And then you watch the race and your horse wins easy and you get a big fat 0. Not only do you not get a refund, you lose. And I just don't know how you can explain that. And for me in this sport, the horses never let me down. Sometimes they don't run their best, but they're horses. They're trying. But the humans, they let us down in this spot. And the excuses they've given are just BS. I knew it the very first minute when they led with the story and said the one horse reared up in the gate trying to make it like he caused everything. And I was like, what the heck were they watching? And then 2 days later, they come out and say, no, he never reared up. And it's just a clown show. And all I said is, how about an apology? People are a really forgiving lot. Instead of all these excuses and stories, and how about just come out and say, you know what? We screwed up. Yeah. The stewards screwed up. The vets
accountability.
Yeah. Just say it. We screwed up. It's on us. The vets, I mean, they're acting like they're separate entities. The vets work for the CHRB. The stewards work for the CHRB. It's on them. They screwed up, and they don't seem to care. All they seem to care about is covering their asses, and I think it stinks.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, totally agreed. And you're absolutely right. It's remember, I mean, the what was it? The Saints game there, you know, what the ref said in the NFL, we screwed up. And that was going to the Super Bowl.
That's all we want.
It's funny you brought that up because I actually thought of that very thing. Yeah. Where, you know what, humans make errors. And that's the exact thing that came to my mind. Was that Saints game. That's about as big a blunder as I could say. And I think this was comparable to it. The only difference there is it was one person. Here, it just took a whole bunch of
a team of people. Yeah. And you raised a good point. And I put something out there on Twitter, had some dialogue with people. How do you explain that if you're watching it with somebody who's there to have fun and trying to get in the game? How the hell do you explain that?
They'll never come back.
They're like, you know what?
Those people are gone.
I'm going to bet on. I'm going to do MMA betting. I'm not going to bet horses. You have a clear cut winner. So you see a guy that lost.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go to Saturday. We'll start with the race 4. We had the Philly and Merit Sprint where CC, I think Surprises, put in a good fight there, followed by Edgeway and Gamine.
CC is coming too. Gamine has been passed by CC. CC has taken the lead, going by Gamine. Then comes Edgeway on the inside, and Bella Sofia. It's an upset here. It's CC and Victor Espinoza by 3 on the wire.
Funny story about how long ago?
It was April. Victor
Espinoza, Sarah, and myself are all together sitting there. And we asked Victor Espinoza who's the best horse he's on, and he starts screaming about CC and telling us how great CC is, how fast CC is. And sure enough, as I don't bet CC, watching CC come down the lane, beating Gamine, which I always said, Gamine in a dogfight doesn't like it. And Gamine was in a dogfight. And CC, I mean, and I saw Victor yesterday, right? Sunday. Saw Victor, congratulated him. And he basically was like, I told you. Like, yeah, thanks, Victor. So funny story about that. But CC, Gamine.
Yeah. Gamine, there was a lot of questions about Gamine, I think, for a horse that went off 2-5. I thought that was pretty amazing. I was really high on Bella Sofia, and luckily my better half, my wife Elsie, kept saying, what about CC? What about CC? And she kind of talked me into it. So I did okay on this one. Just figuring, well, maybe even if Bella Sofia does duel with Gamine, doesn't mean she's going to win. And I didn't care for the other 2 horses at all. So she talked me into that. But hats off to the trainer, Mike McCarthy, because he did something you're not going to see very often. And that's he took a grade 1 winning filly at a distance at a mile and a 16th at Oaklawn. She won the Apple Blossom, and she kind of went off form a little bit, or maybe she just wasn't as good. But he figured out that she needed to be a sprinter. And it seemed like she's been pointed to this race for a long time, and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's great. I was going to see Victor win, obviously.
Well, and credit to Victor, too. He had a hell of a ride. I think he came from like 4 wide or something out, and he's a great horse, but
Much the best horse in that race.
Victor gave a hell of a run. I watched that replay just today, and just hats off to Victor.
Yeah.
And just Sarah, no, we have to have Greg's wife on the show next time we do picks.
Apparently,
I know.
There's no doubt she is a better handicapper than me. I'm a little better at. She'll tell you, she's the first one to tell you. She gives me her opinions, and I know how to bet. But she's better at picking the winners than I am.
We really do. Then we should do this.
I
We should
know,
have
that
like
would be
Craig
cool.
against his wife in a show.
Yeah.
that'd be great.
A handicapping showdown. That's funny. Let's go on to race 5. We have the turf sprint where Golden Pal took the win, followed by Lieutenant Dan and Charmaine's Mia.
Golden Pal now set down by Ortiz. Lieutenant Dan trying to make a race of it in second. Emiratian is third to the inside, but it is Golden Pal. Golden Pal, wire to wire in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
Golden Pal was loaded. We
Yeah.
heard actually that Aaron Greider was riding Golden Pal in the morning. And Aaron Greider said this horse was loaded and looked like it.
Came out like a cannon.
Looked like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. I don't think we have to spend too much time on this race.
Yeah.
No, I just mean it was over in about 4 strides. So there isn't a whole lot to say. He opened the lead and it never changed.
And that
so
was
it was basically a merry-go-round. My podcast partner's pick got up for third, Charmaine's Mia, and that helped me get the superfecta. So I owe David a couple adult beverages when I get to New York.
All right.
There you go.
Perfect. All right, let's go to race 6, which is the Dirt Mile. Life is Good took the win, followed by Ginobili and Restrained Vengeance.
They're into the stretch, and it's Life is Good off the turn with a 2.5 length lead. Ginobili full out in second. On the inside, 8 Rings is third. They're coming past the 16th pole. It's Life is Good, and this colt is incredible. Life is Good. Won it by 6 lengths over Ginobili.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to myself because on the Triple Clowns big ass dirt mile was none other than Tom and Tom. I think it wasn't too hard to think that Life is Good was going to win, but hey, Life is Good started. I think that's was one of the best performances of the weekend.
100%.
Looks fantastic.
I played Ginobili. Ginobili ran a really good race. I didn't think Life is Good was as good as Life is Good was. And I did. I tried to beat him with Ginobili. But I'm curious to think what Craig thinks about this race because I'm going to ask him a quick question afterwards.
Yeah, it was a good performance. I think he was as good as anybody, if not better. I would imagine he's probably the early front runner for Horse of the Year next year. He was that good. What I liked about his race a little more than Nick's Go, we'll get into the Classic later, obviously, is horses actually tried to beat him for the lead. Some really fast horses, including a couple Japanese horses. 8 Rings tried to beat him for the lead, and they just couldn't do it. He was able to repel them, just keep running. The only other thing I said, don't put a whole lot into those fractions. They were quick, don't get me wrong, but they use a crazy 200-foot run up for these races. So he's already well in the full stride when they start timing the race.
You just answered my question. I was going to ask, basically, more impressive win I felt than Nick's Go because no one pressed Nick's Go. You exactly said what I was going to ask you. So
Well,
he did not rehearse this before. Thank you, Craig.
No.
Always on it.
Well, let's go to race 7, which is the Filly and Mare Turf, where Love's Only You took the win, followed by My Sister Nat and Warlike Goddess.
They've taken the lead. My Sister Nat follows that run. Love battles on from the inside. It is Warlike Goddess in front. On the inside, Love. On the outside, My Sister Nat. Love's Only You is coming. Here comes Love's Only You to win it for Japan.
Love's Only You. What an incredible horse. Excited. This horse is heading to Hong Kong next to take on the field there. But that horse came in with an impressive resume and just took over that field.
I played this horse.
Awesome
I killed this horse just because of one thing. Ran a neck to mischief. That was it. I swear I looked at the line and that's all I did because that horse would have won our classic. I don't care. I'm going to say that. People are getting mad at me.
A lot of people have been saying that actually.
But it's true.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
was
that-
another one. My wife was all over. She just was adamant that we bet this one. I didn't have a huge opinion on it, so I followed along. Now, I'll be honest, we got a little lucky because I do think this came down to trips. I think any of four horses easily could have won that race. There were some tougher trips in here than hers. Daria had the worst of it for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to say a horse that was fifth would have won. I wouldn't say she would have, but she certainly could have because she was bottled up for a long time and was flying when she got out. We're like Goddess and my sister Nat both were at the back. They kind of were forced to make wide early moves and just couldn't quite sustain it. And the jockey who was most patient was able to get the job done. So really good performance. Like you said, she's heading to Hong Kong. She came in with a very impressive resume. She's actually won one of the big races in Hong Kong before, so it wouldn't be a surprise if she does it again. And just a really top race mare who I hope we get to see again back in the States. Who knows? She'll be sixth next year, but on turf, they can seem to last a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes, let's go to race 8, the sprint, which I think shocked a lot of people here, where Aloha West got the win, followed by Dr. Shivel and Following C. Jackie's Warrior didn't hit the board.
And Following C is coming up the fence, trying to get involved. No running room there for him. Dr. Shivel has taken the lead as they come to the final furlong. Jackie's Warrior is given way. Special reserve. Here's Aloha West flying down the center of the track. Here's the wire. Oh, it's close.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was shocking. That was shocking. But the translation from the east to the west a lot of times doesn't work out. First time there, and apparently I don't know, didn't like it, something like that, because numbers wise, and Craig, I'm sure will agree, those horses should not beat this horse ever.
Yeah.
But
No, this was a race that didn't go well for me. I didn't get too crazy because he was 1-2, but he was a single for me, and he just didn't have it. Some people were speculating maybe the pace did him in, but that pace was nothing for him. He's run a lot faster this year, and maybe it was being pressured. He got pressured on both sides at one point in the race, and he just didn't like it. But he's a horse who has proven he's game, and he's fought to the wire, had some real nice battles. And it just seemed like the jackies didn't show up. And basically that left it to the other two most likely winners, I think. And they sure put on a show. I was happy to see Aloha West get it because I've kind of talked to some of their connections throughout the year. And he's a good, solid horse. But nothing against Dr. Shivel either. He ran a heck of a race. He showed all those wins weren't a fluke. I didn't have them rated particularly fast, but sometimes when you just keep winning, they're not showing you all they had. And sure enough, he ran his best speed figure yet in defeat. And it was a very narrow defeat, obviously.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that's
That, yeah. Maryland bred, Aloha West, by the way, our first Maryland bred
Nobody
winner
cares.
of the, but it is a like Craig mentioned, Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners, good group of people. I've seen a lot of they race a lot out here in the Mid-Atlantic circuit, so know a couple of the connections. Was very happy to see Aloha West win that race, and was kind of also happy to see
good
Jackie's
for us.
Warrior
No one
hit the
talked
board.
about it. Good for the connections.
Yeah.
I know. So let's go to race 9.
And as a Pharaoh Maryland bred, I'm glad he brought up that it's a Maryland bred.
Oh, he won't
We had a
miss
good
that.
day.
Well, no,
Anything
yeah.
on the East Coast, he's not missing that.
All right, let's go to race 9 was the Fanduel Mile, where Space Blues took the win, followed by Smooth Like Straight and Ivar.
Smooth like straight the leader. Here comes Space Blues. Moving up alongside with 1 furlong to go. Got Stormy goes next. And then Ivar running outside and Cossack Reed. They're coming down to the line. And Space Blues has won the Breeders' Cup Mile.
Space Blues, everybody, sexy pick. Everybody loved it. People coming to see the horse.
Yeah. Yeah. And Charlie Appleby, man, he had a hell of a weekend. And one of those guys that I think he's only like 45, 46, but seems like he's been around forever. And he's getting both feet into the US, and he still has a lot of great horses overseas, but I really like this guy. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more and more about him. I don't think the average racing fan knows who he is, but after this weekend, he's definitely stamped the map in the United States, and if that was happy to see, even though it was pretty chalk. I think it paid $6 on 2, something like that. Very happy to see that horse win.
Yeah, I thought I remembered he might be done with racing, but I hope I'm wrong on that front.
No, unfortunately, he's retiring.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But yeah, with that resume, it's kind of hard to argue, especially, he'll be a son of Dubawi, who was the sire of 3 different winners on this card. Yes. The kind of shocker to me was he actually went off 2-1. I mean, to me, I couldn't believe it. I figured he was going to be 6-5, 7-5 tops. So that one surprised me a little bit, almost as much as Mo Forza going off at 3-1. I remember saying Twitter, I would take all the action people wanted to give me at 10-1 if I were a rich man. To be fair to him, he got wiped out at the start, so he didn't do much running after that, but he never really had a chance. So I don't want to be too hard on him. But basically, this race was a merry-go-round. We knew what Smooth Like Straight was going to do when he got the lead. Pretty much what he always does. He gives it up in the last 50 yards. And that's not a knock because he's a really good horse, and he just always seems to come up a little bit short to some really good horses, but he does have the good tactical speed. He's always right there. And no disgrace that he couldn't hold off a multiple Group 1 winner like Space Blues.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Race 10 was the Distaff, where we had Marsh Lorraine take the win there, followed by Dunbar Road and Malathat. And Matruska, one that didn't hit the board.
As they come to the top of the stretch, it is Marsh Lorraine, Royal Flag, and Clariere on the far outside. Marsh Lorraine trying to go for a giant upset. On the far outside, it's Clariere trying to come through an opening on the inside late. Here comes Dunbar Road. They're coming to the wire, and it is, it's desperately close.
Yeah, this is one I'm going to have to give my wife some crap about because she loves the Japan horses. She didn't even mention this one. I don't think too many people mentioned her, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think the real story, and that's a big story. I'm glad she won because I think it'll encourage more participation. Mm-hmm. It was good to see it this year. But the real story here was the pace. I mean, there are pace meltdowns, and then there's this, which was like on 3 other levels above that. You just never see those kind of fractions, and the run-up's not crazy long at a mile and an eighth. And Private Mission just seemed like Bob Baffert had this horse. She was on a mission. She was getting to the front no matter what. Didn't work out very well for her. Didn't work out very well for the favorite. Set it up for chaos, and that's what we got. So just a crazy race. I think any of about 3 or 4 horses could have won. I really feel for those people who bet, what's her name? Horse, the Dunbar Road, a horse who I think I liked in this race last year. Or heck, it might even been I think it was a year before when she was a 3-year-old.
Yep.
And I kind of wrote her off.
Yep.
Yeah, you never want to discount Chad Brown. If he sends them and they get to the gate, they're well meant. So good run by her, and good to see the Japanese do so well.
Yeah,
I was one of those fellas, Craig. I did Dunbar Road across the board. But yeah, I mean, I think he finished 5th. She finished 5th in 19 and maybe 3rd in 20. But Dunbar, it's one of my favorites is Dunbar Road, and I loved the price we're going to get. Made a couple bucks because I did play it across the board. But across
the board without Matruska, you did okay.
Yeah.
Saw Dunbar in person, won the Delaware. What was it? The Delaware Handicap was a grade 2 last year with Irad and the Irons. Really, really good looking big horse. But hats off to the winner. But yeah, like I said, came up second tits a lot on Saturday.
All right.
Yep. Race 11, we had the Longines Turf, where Yabir took the win, followed by Broom and Tiona.
Tiona's 4th. Tarnawa's got a lot of work to do. And down the center of the course, it's Yabir. It's Broom with 1 furlong to run. Yabir is closing on the outside. Broom and Yabir down to the wire. It is Yabir and William Buick to win the turf.
I was pretty big on Yabir. I was excited about that one.
Well, that was a very nice pick on on him because as a 3-year-old, I kind of overlooked him, to be honest. He surprised me, but what a monster kick that horse has through the stretch. Yet another Charlie Appleby by Dubawi or Dubawi. I'm not even sure I think I said it right, but who cares,
so.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Sounds
people
okay.
who own them don't. Yeah, the people that own them don't care. They're doing just fine. They don't need me to.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this horse is something. And the good thing about him is, I mean, it might not be good in his opinion, but he's a gelding, so he's not going anywhere. And we know Charlie Appleby doesn't mind coming over here, so I imagine we're going to be seeing him again. Just complete dominance once again by the foreign invaders, which is not uncommon. For this 1.5 mile turf, we very rarely are able to compete, and nothing really changed here.
Yep.
Not at all. And we should learn by letting these horses go off in these odds. We should
think
learn.
so.
That's you would think. You would think.
Well, let's
Yeah, the
go.
one, I mean, we did bet a foreign horse, but she, for whatever reason, just was a no-show. She didn't really do any running. She had a chance. Well, just picked the wrong one in this case.
Yeah, exactly.
Most heavily bet.
Exact the box the Europeans in those races, you'd probably be good. Would have been good there.
Blind bet Japan. You would have.
Yeah.
You would have made it on top. Just blind bet Japan.
Yeah.
And Broom ran a heck of a race too.
Yeah. I like
Oh,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wide pretty much the whole way, kind of moved into what was a hot pace a little early and looked like he was going to get there until very late. So really good effort from him. No surprise from Aiden O'Brien and Irad Ortiz, but a little different trip, and he probably would have been the winner.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Let's go to the big race. Final race of Breeders' Cup, the Classic, where Nick's Go took the lead, didn't let go, and followed by Medina Spirit and Essential Quality.
And then comes Medina Spirit, Art Collector, and Essential Quality into the final furlong. And it is Nick's Go. Nick's Go has a 2.5 length lead. Medina Spirit, Hot Rod Charlie, Essential Quality. Nick's Go, a superstar, wins the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Woo.
What do we say? I mean,
know.
okay, I'm going to say it right aloud right now, Craig. Tell me if you agree. We all were off of Nick's Go. Everybody wants to say whatever. You weren't, Tom, but we all were. Craig actually was on our show for this one.
Yes.
So here's the thing. He beat a bunch of 3-year-olds, right? And we talked about that when I said it was 4 and I meant it was 5. He beat a bunch of 3-year-olds. That's not normal. Like usually we think that horse is going to win. So is it more impressive of Nick's Go, or are we more impressed by, or just like, okay, there are a bunch of 3-year-olds he beat that couldn't challenge it? What is it?
That's a good crop of 3-year-olds, in my opinion. All those horses that ran second, third, and fourth are really good. The disappointment for me is that they didn't try to challenge Nick's Go. He didn't go particularly fast on my pace figures. I mean, he was solid, but nothing that Medina Spirit hasn't done. And for me personally, I think what it came down to is they wanted to beat the other 3-year-olds and try to win an Eclipse Award more than taking some risk and trying to beat Nick's Go and run them, to try to challenge them early. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't want to see a $6 million race that essentially it became a merry-go-round. I mean, our collector was up there a little bit early. He wasn't really a contender, dropped out. And the only horse that really changed position from the beginning of the race was Essential Quality. So it kind of shows to me the pace wasn't much. I understand why they would want to get second. And the disappointing thing for me is Medina Spirit ran great. What's to say he couldn't have pressed Nick's Go? And Nick's Go isn't exactly been a warrior on the front end when he gets challenged. It happened twice this year, and he basically spit the bit. But people were afraid to try, I guess. And he's a really good horse. Once you let him run free, it's over. And this one was over pretty quick.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so would you say Medina Spirit, because I had this conversation with Chip Gerke, he does the rankings, Medina Spirit, 3-year-old of the year now, undefeated against Essential Quality and, oh God, why can't I think of it? Oh, Hot Rod Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
Is Medina Spirit 3-year-old of the year because of that second?
Yeah, for me, I count wins more. I'm probably a little biased because of the Kentucky Derby thing. But if you just stack up the wins, Essential Quality has a better resume, and it's not particularly close. Medina Spirit didn't win the Santa Anita Derby, didn't win the Breeders' Cup. There was what was his other big race? The Preakness, he didn't win. The Derby, I guess it just comes down to if you're going to count that as a win or not. Personally, I'm not, so he didn't pass essential quality. I think there's something fishy there. Maybe it wasn't anything that I've always said Medina Spirit's a really good horse. I don't think that he was enhanced any that day by whatever was going on, but it was just a bad look on the sport. So personally, I'll side with essential quality. I have no argument for anybody that wants to count the Kentucky Derby and go with Medina Spirit, because when you add that in, their resumes are really close. But without it, essential qualities is much better. And pretty much I think that's where that conversation ends. I've heard some people talk about Life is Good. I even threw your Beer's name out there, but they don't really have the resumes to stack up with those two.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
Tom
So,
thinks.
yeah, comments below what you guys think. Because I mean it's a good one, because you're exactly right, and I think essential quality will win, and I think it'll be because of the Bob Baffert issue. So I think essential quality will win.
doubt.
But it's a fun thing to talk about, and because you could make a case, throw that out, and that's pretty good, because you could be like, well, he beat him those 2 times or whatever. But no, I know, Craig, you got to go.
Yeah, I do. But you guys did great. I appreciate you having me on as always, twice in a week. You guys may need a break from me. That's how it usually does it. If I see you more than twice a week. No.
We'll
It
get
was
your
good,
wife on
guys.
next week.
Yeah, and nice to meet you, Tom. We'll talk
Craig, yeah,
again.
nice to see you face to face.
All right, see you guys.
Twitter. All right,
Craig,
buddy.
always a pleasure, buddy.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was it. That was exciting. Recapping
fun.
a crazy couple of days in the Breeders' Cup. And we were lucky enough to be joined by our friend, Craig Milkowski, TimeformUS. Check that out. Definitely. Great guy in front of the League of Justice. I said that on purpose, so everybody can get mad at me.
You
'Cause
just
I don't know
like
my
to poke.
superheroes,
You
apparently.
just like to poke.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Craig,
Works.
always great. I mean, wealth of knowledge. I mean,
Yeah. Well, like I said, go follow him on Twitter. He did a really great breakdown of a few races, of pace figures, time figures. It was really interesting. I think you could probably find him on his Sunday. So look for that date on his Twitter timeline. But he's a wealth of knowledge.
Well, and it's readable. It's legible for even the novices. That's one thing
Yes.
that I have found with his writing, where a couple other people who try to break it down talk over people's heads, maybe for a reason to show that they're trying to be the smartest guy in the room. But Craig, yeah, he breaks it down, black and white, boom, 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 boom. So
for people like Tom and Sarah.
Even idiots like AJ can understand.
And Randy,
I don't know about that.
he doesn't know how to read. So actually that it doesn't help Randy out at all.
I know numbers.
You don't even know how to count. So I don't. You're
Not in
out of
order.
class here. Oh, okay.
I don't do math, so so that's where you.
All right. Well, we have this exciting weekend. I did want to mention, so Knicks Go, they are saying potentially one more race, and that will be the Pegasus. Try to capture that title again. Medina Spirit.
Barrel and bread.
I can't wait.
Barrel and bread.
I can't wait for I can't wait for Flightline to show up to Florida, and
just
Life is
destroy
Good,
it. Ooh.
and just night.
Yeah. Medina Spirit's heading to the Saudi Cup, and Essential Quality is retiring.
Well, good for EQ. Pretty good, very good run, and unfortunately, he's retiring at a very early age. But
I'm sure he's going to have a pretty hefty
for him.
schedule there. Yeah.
Yeah, good for him. He's gonna try to figure out what's going on, and then he's gonna kind of like his new surroundings. But yeah, we're unfortunately seeing that too often. But yeah, it's good
It
stuff.
is. Yeah. It's a shame. We aren't going to see a whole lot of 4-year-olds
Yeah.
that we see. And
I mean, I
Strong
retired to be a
three-year-old.
stud at 16. Living life ever since.
I got nothing. You're special. Well, but that was our Breeders' Cup recap show. I think it's time to give up now.
Not sure what Randy's stud fee is. Maybe
Oh,
maybe,
no.
maybe
You can't give him
maybe-
away. I
maybe
cannot,
a
you
lot.
can't-
maybe a
Packages.
Whataburger coupon or something. All right, guy. Well, thanks. Always a pleasure. Tuesdays we do off the rail. We go to tracks where nobody else has the guts to go to. We might be at Finger Lakes. We might be at parks. We might even be at any other track. I can't think of any now. Cut.
Mountaineer,
Meadowlands.
Meadowlands, Mountaineer, and we go to any track where nobody else has the guts to go to. We cover all those small tracks.
I don't know
on
why Mark
Tuesday
Patterson
nights.
hasn't been on your show yet. Kind of upset.
because he works. Well, you
on
guys,
Tuesday
he's
night.
not on simulcast. But when Mountaineer's done, he'd love to come on and do like Mahoning Valley.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, we'll set it up. Yeah, we got. I think El Hombre is going to be on. We've got Matthew from. We have Matthew on next week, and I believe El Hombre is going to join us in 2 weeks. So
Nice.
let's get some good handicappers coming on.
Yeah, always
Good
fun, those
lineup.
guys. Absolutely. So
That's why you need to subscribe, like, notification bell, all that jazz. Also follow all of us on social media. We get out some good insight sometimes.
once in a while.
All right. See you later, everybody.